up, soldiers? Texas Grown 409, aka the Iraq Veteran Gamer, bringing you another installment of War Stories. And I know what y'all are thinking. Texas Grown 409, put on some sleeves so you can cover those illegal guns. I know. When I wear a sleeveless shirt, I should wear orange gloves to let you know that these are just cap guns. But today I'm going to talk about two soldiers that I met not too long before I deployed, who have just recently got back from their deployments, and they were really fucked up. This first soldier I met around spring of 2006, and it really breaks my heart to say this, but this soldier is probably dead now. R.I.P. The reason this soldier was fucked up along with a lot of his battles is because when they were in Iraq, they were swimming in this river, and this is pretty much what happened.
Hey soldiers, what the fuck do you think y'all doing?
Just trying to beat the heat, sir.
Well, we have intel that there's weapons, dead bodies, along with some other bullshit in the water. So it would behoove you not to swim in it because it could be contaminated.
Oh shit. Roger that, sir. Sure enough, the water was contaminated, and him and a lot of his battles were having these weird symptoms. They would get migraines, they were losing some of their vision. Some of them were bleeding in the jaw, not on the outside, but on the inside. I've never heard of people just randomly bleeding in the jaw. But this soldier told me a lot of his battles were getting medically discharged, and they were getting a lot of money from the army for getting a medical discharge, because they were told that they only had about 6 months to live. And I think the army paid them a lot of money to kind of be like, alright, go enjoy the rest of your life, here's a lot of money, go die, and don't say a word. We don't want people to know that you can die in bizarre ways. So I asked this soldier how much he was getting for getting a medical discharge, and he told me he wasn't getting a medical discharge. So I asked him why, and he said, honestly, I don't want a death sentence. I don't want to know when I'm gonna die. That's just one of the things that the army isn't gonna tell you about. Recruiters definitely aren't gonna tell you about that. That you can die from swimming in contaminated water. That you can catch diseases from eating some of the Iraqi food. And they even had Iraqis on our base that came on the base just to sell Iraqi food. And they had a sign on the door that pretty much said, eat at your own risk. Because you could catch diseases and stuff from eating Iraqi food. I know what some of y'all are thinking. How do you know this soldier was telling you the truth? Good fucking point. But this is why I believe this soldier. Because when we were getting ready to come back to the States, our medics specifically told us if you stayed at COP CHOPE, and COP stands for Combat Outpost, if you stayed there when they first took it over, it would behoove you to get checked out when you got back. They didn't tell us what we needed to get checked out for or anything. They just said it would behoove you to get checked out. The reason they told us this is because I stayed at this COP when they first took it over. I stayed there for like a week and a half when they first took it over. And it was a pretty decent sized building. It was a 1-story building, but it had a 2-story basement downstairs. And downstairs, the lower 2 floors were filled with sewage, dead bodies, and weapons, and other bullshit, just like that colonel said earlier. And inside, it didn't have any ventilation, it didn't have any AC, didn't even have lights inside. They were burning their own shit, and a lot of soldiers were sleeping outside. One, because it was like 120 degrees, this was in May. This was right after the troop surge happened. And 2, nobody wanted to stay inside because all that shit that was downstairs. Well, my dumbass, I slept inside every day. This mission for me was pretty much like a break. I was sleeping like 15 hours a day. I drove the fuel truck out there, and we were just supposed to fill up the combat engineers' vehicles because they were setting up barriers around this little COP because it was still in the process of being built up. So really, I wasn't doing shit. It was just like a vacation for me in a way, because I was working every day when I was back at my base. So it was like a little vacation. But I slept inside for like 15 hours every day. So I was breathing in shit and piss particles, dead body particles, and God knows what else. And I think I became contaminated while I was staying there. But this is what my back looks like.
Damn, look how fucked up my spine looks. If you didn't know, back in May, 4 days after my 24th birthday, I was hit by a car. I will post a link to that video right now. Shazam! But if you notice all the little bumps on my sides and my lower back, I have the same stuff on my upper ass cheeks and on my arms. I just find it very fishy how this has popped up when I was in Iraq, and it's been here ever since.
I've had this skin condition pop up not too long after I stayed at this combat outpost, and it's been there ever since it started in Iraq. So it's been there for 4 years now. I've gotten this checked out at the VA, which stands for Veteran Affairs, and they keep telling me that it's just acne. They believe it's just acne. Even though I already explained to them this whole situation, the place I stayed at, and we were advised to get checked out. It could be just acne, but like I said, I don't know. All I know is I hope it is just acne. I'm sorry I have my AC ear raping y'all in the background, but if I was to record this without my AC on, I would have a fucking heat stroke in the middle of this. So I gotta have it on, sorry. But this next soldier I'm about to tell you about, I came across him in the summer of '06, a couple months before I deployed. And it was about 2 in the morning. I was sitting around driving like I always did. Driving around was like one of my biggest stress reliefs. And I come across this guy pretty much like laying in the middle of the road. So I stopped and I was like, "You okay?" And he was all bloodied up. His side was all bloodied up. And I was like, "Hey man, come on, get in the car." And then come to find out, he was a soldier, and he said he just got back from Iraq. And he said he just got jumped and he was stabbed. That's why he had the blood on the side. Well, I could obviously see he was drunk. Beyond drunk. He was plastered. And we were driving around and I kept asking him, "Where do you want me to bring you?" And then he's saying something, he was staying at some hotel. And I don't know, he wasn't really making no sense. I don't think he was comprehending what I was saying. He was in my car and he was almost passing out. And all of a sudden this happens. Yeah. And fuck that fucking Haji! If you don't know what Haji means, Haji is pretty much a racial slur that the military gives Middle Easterners. We sing cadences in the army about killing Haji and all that. That's why I say it's a racist slur. You don't have to agree with me. But after he kind of like had a little flashback, I guess what he was having, he ends up passing out in my passenger seat. And he would not wake up. So I ended up stopping at a convenience store, and I walked in, I asked the guy, I was like, "Hey, can I call an ambulance? I have this drunk guy in my passenger seat, he won't wake up. It looks like he's been stabbed." And sure enough, the ambulance came. I explained he was a soldier, and I explained, I just picked him up in the middle of the road, and like I said, he told me he's been jumped and he was stabbed that night. But they told me that stab wound looked a couple days old. So I don't know what was up. All I know is that he really needed help. When I seen him have that flashback, that was kind of like a real eye-opener to me. It kind of freaked me out. I was like, damn, this is what soldiers come back like? So I really hope me stopping and picking them up, when I guarantee not many other people would stop and pick them up because either they were too scared, or just people nowadays just don't like to help anybody. That's why I was hit by that fucking car. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Till next episode, much love from the Iraq Veteran Gamer. And I hope those soldiers that were contaminated, I hope they're still here with us. If they're not, let's have a little moment of silence for them. Much love from the Iraq Veteran Gamer. Peace, bitches.